up, witches? I'm Taylar.
And I'm Amber.
And this is Waking Up the Witch.
We're your neighborhood witches, and each week we get together and talk about all things witchy.
We're two curious ladies trying to understand the human experience, but while we do that, we think it's important to honor the people that lived here before us and honor the cultures and traditions that we're being inspired by.
This podcast is about waking up the witch, which means we are learning and growing every day. That being said, we're always open to feedback on how we can do better.
Now, let's go, ghouls. Hi, Amber.
Hi, Taylar.
How you doing?
I'm so excited right now. For so many reasons. I mean, our interview just now is really great and something that you fucking manifested and brought into the forefront of our life.
It's just as good as I thought it would be.
It was so wonderful.
She's so cool.
She's so cool.
Now we're friends.
Yes.
Finally.
Exactly what you wanted. My sister and her little family just got in town this morning. They're going to be here for the whole week for Thanksgiving, and I'm so jazzed and excited just to spend time with them and that they made it here and that I get to show them Oregon. And her husband's already in love and is like ready to move out here. So
come on with it.
Heck yeah. I'm excited for that too. How are you?
Fucking tight. I feel like I have jumped timelines or something. It's like everything that I've been calling in is all just dumping in my lap in 1 week.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's just talk about all the magic that has happened literally in a week for you. Thursday,
I made the most money that I've ever made in a day at work. Friday, I signed the lease to my own salon.
So excited.
What the fuck? Yesterday, I taught my first class on curly hair, my techniques, my detox service, the way I hold the consultation with my client experience.
It's been a long time coming.
So fucking good.
Happy. So fucking proud of you.
And yeah, I went out last night. I met some fascinating people. And then today I got to interview Holly, and I'm just like, show me how good it gets.
Yes.
I also might go sell my car today, and I'm like manifesting that they give me more than I paid for it.
I can't wait for that too.
So,
I mean, it's been the best week ever for you already. So why not? Come on.
What else
Sell
is
your
gonna
fucking
happen?
car for all the money.
Everything's fucking great. I'm stoked. Life is good. That's about it.
Such a good
My
feeling.
salon is going to be called Electric Soul Hair Company, and it is located in Grants Pass. It is going to be fucking awesome. I'm going to add healing services onto my detox service. So in the bowl, you can get energy work.
I can't wait for that.
Eventually, I'll start doing card readings and stuff while people process, and it'll be a whole vibe.
I'm so excited for that. I'm excited for you to step into that new energy and that new vibe and this Taylar that you've been cultivating and creating. It's going to be so vibrant for you and for the community and the people who find you. And then I'm also excited to receive that because...
Who's she?
Yeah. It's amazing.
Let's fuck around and find out.
Yeah.
I think it's just what I just said to you was whenever you remove fear from the equation, wild shit starts happening. I don't think I'm afraid of anything right now.
That's a wild feeling.
Bring it on. I don't give a fuck. Let's go.
So good.
I'm a little nervous about telling the owner of my salon right after this, but I know she'll receive it well, and I know that the nerves are just me. I'll miss it, and I am very appreciative and grateful and all that stuff. But,
yeah, we've been there for so long.
Yeah, it's the longest I've ever been in a place.
Yeah.
So. But some chapters have to end so new ones can start, and this is just what that looks like.
Yes.
I can't grow in the ways that I need to in the same space. So.
It's time to change.
It is.
Time to grow.
It's happening. I don't think we have too much to cover. We really want to get into this episode so that you guys can enjoy all the juiciness that is Holly and her lovely fucking self. And I think we'll just get to it.
Yeah. I hope that you guys love it and just find like a new appreciation for alternative healing. I am like gonna get off of this and go figure out where to go get acupuncture locally.
I love that we did this right after talking about Ayurveda.
Yeah,
I didn't really realize that when we booked it.
They definitely like go hand in hand, and I'm just feeling really inspired to incorporate more natural healing. It's something I've always really loved and have been passionate about, and speaking to both of these incredible healers, it just makes me more excited to take care of myself in this deeper way and learn more about my own body and my own energies and how I can just become more balanced and in harmony in myself.
Yeah, I think this is your sign, not just yours, but talking to you, people. I think this is your sign to go do that thing that you're curious about, this whatever kind of healing modality. Get a massage, go to acupuncture, eat some fucking vegetables, whatever. Do something new.
Yeah, definitely practicing self-care. I feel like we're vibing high on that right now
but try something
with
different.
Our guests, and especially going into the holiday season. We're recording this just a few days before Thanksgiving, and you know, all the other holidays are coming up right around the corner.
Is Thanksgiving this week?
It's this week, boo.
What day is
Shit's gonna move so fast right now, and it's hard to breathe sometimes during this time of year. And so making sure that you were doing your self-care and like grounding yourself and returning your energy back to yourself is going to be so vital over the next month and a half.
Easy to put aside some of your like self-care things when you get really busy, but that's when they're the most important.
Totally. And I'm speaking to myself.
Same.
Like I have not done shit for myself lately, and I really need to. So
I'll go to the gym today.
That would be wonderful. Yeah. I'm gonna go spend time with family, and that'll be good for my soul. So
yeah, that's healing.
Yeah, my favorite family member ever is in my house right now.
That's so exciting.
With all her little tiny humans. They're so cute. I'm sure I'm gonna want to pull their heads off in like 4 hours.
Yeah, it's all a part of it.
But they're wonderful and just like are helping me to connect into my inner child too. So that's going to be fun.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. So enjoy this episode with our lovely guest, Holly. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Waking Up the Witch.
And send us your emails at wakingupthewitch@gmail.com.
And also don't forget to like, review, subscribe on all the podcasty things, wherever you're listening to this. We are at that point where we really need to help others discover our content because, speaking of, oh my fucking God, how did we like just breeze past this?
I forgot. And I didn't forget.
So, okay, but for real, go like give us the 5 stars or whatever and let people know about us because we really want to have others find us. We love fucking doing this so much each week. And if you're loving it, share with a friend and tell the podcast app that you're loving it too. So now the magic thing real quick before we go, Taylar.
One of my girlfriends was in the, first of all, if you work at Elder Apothecary, who the fuck are you? Raise your hand, please.
It's literally one of my most favorite spots in Southern Oregon.
One of my friends texted me yesterday, "What's up, Allie?" And she was like, "I'm in Elder Apothecary," and somebody just turned off the music and turned on Waking Up the Witch. And I said, "Is that a song?" And she was like, "No, your fucking podcast." I'm like, "What do you mean? What do you mean?" And she was like, "Your podcast is on in this store." And I said, "Well, now I'm crying." So
Yeah, and it was pretty awesome because Taylar and I spent like all of 30 minutes together yesterday briefly. And she happened to get the text when we were together, and we both were just like, what? And it's just so very exciting. So whoever you are working at Elder Apothecary, thank you.
People are listening.
Also, that place is literally the most amazing place in Southern Oregon. Their elixirs are so freaking delicious. And I have their the flower essences. I have a couple of those at home. They're so lovely to include in your water. If you live in Southern Oregon, please go to Elder Apothecary. This place is phenomenal and beautiful, and I love it. So, anyways, thank you. Enjoy the show.
Enjoy.
So let's just begin by getting comfortable, closing your eyes if you feel called to, and start with 3 deep breaths to connect our energy. Breathing in and release. Breathing in again and release. And one last breath, the biggest breath you've had all day. And release. I'd like to begin by calling in our higher selves, our spirit team, our guides, our ancestors, and our angels to join us here today for another opportunity to connect and heal a little deeper. Thank you for being with us always and surrounding us in love and protection, guiding us. We're so grateful to be on this path to connect with each other and other magical beings on this earth, sharing in our knowledge and our love for life and our spiritual growth, helping others to feel more seen in the world. Please allow for whatever is meant for the highest good and the highest light for all involved today to come through. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. Hi, Holly.
Hello.
I am so freaking excited right now.
Taylar literally manifested this on our first recording. She was like, this woman
exactly who
healed me and saved me and changed my life, and I'm going to find her and we're going to do this, and she's going to be on our podcast. Okay. So if you're listening, you're going to be on here, and here we are. The days come.
And it's kind of creepy because I was Googling you and found your phone number, and then I said, is this Holly? And you said, yeah, who it is.
So welcome, Holly. Tell everyone who you are and what you do, and thanks for joining us on this special occasion.
Yeah. So I'm Holly, and I practice Chinese medicine, acupuncture, Chinese herbal medicine, and East Asian body work. I live in Portland, and I work at a little clinic with some chiropractors and massage therapists. I've been practicing for about 5 years now, and it's definitely something I'm really passionate about, something I really love. And I've had a lot of different manifestations of how I've practiced, which has been a big journey for myself, and figuring out what I like to do, what I'm good at, and just discovering as I move forward how I want to practice this medicine, and like what feels the best with this medicine, because there's a lot of different ways to practice. So yeah, that's a little bit about what I do. And yeah.
I can't believe you've only been doing this for 5 years. I thought when I met you, you'd been doing it for a very long time. You're a very powerful human.
Oh,
your
thank
skills.
you.
You're welcome.
And Southern Oregon was a little stint. I had like a very Yeah, it was like a year, almost just about a year in Southern Oregon. So that was
Oh,
an
wow.
interesting time too, that I met you and started practicing there. And it
I
was
mean, that was
quick.
like
It's
the
fast
thick
and
of
furious.
COVID. So that was just like everything was so intense and super
Very
weird.
intense.
And I just feel like the energy of everything was just chaos and heaviness and just a weird time.
It was also right after the fire. Like I moved there, and then within 2 weeks the fires happened, and
Gosh.
had to evacuate and all that. So that was like my intro to Southern Oregon,
Oh God.
and
Welcome.
and then
Devastating.
practicing through so much grief with people
Mhm.
losing their houses and COVID and uncertainty, moving somewhere more rural and like having a different demographic, treating a different demographic of people that didn't have a lot of resources or treated me a little bit like primary care. Everything was really heavy, and I grew
So
a
heavy.
lot, like a lot in my 1 year there. So,
Wow. How did
yeah.
what brought you to Southern Oregon?
I was not working that much because of COVID in Portland, and also it was just kind of like a hustle regardless of the pandemic before. And I saw a job opportunity in Medford, and I applied and got the job, and it was a really good job. It was like, all the things, salaried and benefits, and I wanted to kind of get out of Portland at that time because the protests were pretty crazy, and COVID and all that stuff, and I just wanted to live somewhere like a little bit more quiet and a little more country.
Yeah.
And then, I went through a breakup down there, moved there with my partner of 6 years, and we broke up.
Oh, wow.
And then I was just kind of isolated in Southern Oregon. I didn't really know anyone. And I just felt like I needed to go back to where my community is, which is here in Portland. And that's kind of why it all happened so fast. So,
Something we've talked about with a lot of guests is just like how these really challenging, difficult times literally catapult you into greatness, like
Growth.
into, like it's a fast track to growth. And it sounds like you moved here to kind of get this crazy healing, intense medicine from Southern Oregon to kind of, I don't know, hopefully get you to jump timelines into a greater purpose, greater passion, greater path.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
I see that now that I'm on the other end of that.
Yeah, you can never see it while you're in it. You're like, fuck this.
Yeah.
I do think that, like, where I'm at now, I might be able to have more gratitude for it in the moment, but not in the past.
No.
I don't think.
It's just like, fuck the world right now. It's heavy.
Yeah.
So I'm sure we'll get more into that, but we here on Waking Up the Witch really love to just kind of hear everyone's origin story of waking up spiritually, whatever that means to you, whether or not you identify as a witch. But
she's a witch.
But Taylar says you're a witch, so if you want to own that, you can. But we would love to hear like your story of waking up and finding your own spirituality, whatever that means to you, what that looks like for you, and everything
I can't wait
that's
to know
brought
more
you
about you
here today.
Tell me all the things.
Awesome. Yes. Am I allowed to say that it maybe started with drugs?
Yes. Yes. I think a lot of people have that same exact realization.
I mean, it was earlier than that. I was actually like meditating on this yesterday morning and kind of thinking about it. And one of the things that came to me was like middle school. I think it was around middle school, probably like, or a little earlier than that, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade. I was always like, I grew up in a very like Christian family, or at least my mother is like very Christian. And just like not feeling like I ever fit in with that, and always being really attracted to like the dark side and the macabre, and like I don't know like where that came from, but even as like young as elementary school, I was like renting horror movies all the time, and my mom would let me watch them.
Same.
Yes, me too.
And so, you know, it just kind of like I was just a little dark. I was just like attracted to those kinds of stories and the shadow work, I guess. I don't know, just like thrillers and all that. And like in 5th grade, a very specific memory, there was this movie, I don't know what it was called. Maybe it was called like Demon Gate or something like that. It was really silly. You know, not to really like witches to evil or anything like that, right? But yeah, in 5th grade I was friends with this guy Justin, and we were both pretty like dark weirdos, and the other girls were playing unicorns. I remember that really specific. They were like, do you want to play unicorns with us? And I was like, no. And I went into the field with Justin, because there's like a field outside the playground at our school. And we had both watched this horror movie, and we were both obsessed with it. And we made a game out of searching for like the demon gate. And we were like trying to open portals to hell.
That's so funny.
I don't know, like, you know, maybe it kind of started there with my
amazing.
Yeah.
And then, you know, flash forward a couple of years, I think I was maybe in 6th grade, 7th grade. And I was like, I don't know what, I just started wanting to like read palms and be a psychic. And I started telling my friends I was psychic. And so I remember like holding hands with my friends and just like intuiting stuff. And like at the time I felt like I was just like making it up, but also I feel like I was just saying whatever came out, and like apparently a lot of it was right. I don't remember any details.
That's channeling.
That's how you channel, yeah.
And I
little witch.
got a reputation. Yeah, kind of got a reputation with my friends that I was able to do that, and I was kind of surprised that they were like saying that some of the stuff I was saying was right. And I was friends with these 2 girls, Jelana and Precious, and they're from New Orleans, and their mom came up to me after school one day and took me aside, and she held my hand, and she was like, and it terrified me. She was like, you know, I'm able to do that stuff too. I'm also psychic. And she was like, you have a gift. And I was just like,
my nipples are so hard right now. So many chills.
Yeah. Wow.
Amazing. That was not how I thought that story was going to go.
And
I did. She said New Orleans. I'm like, this lady.
Well, yeah. And I grew up, I mean, they're a Black family. I grew up in a very white, you know, like white liberal and Christian kind of mix. In Bellingham.
Is that in Seattle? Oh, Bellingham.
Bellingham. And Joanna and Precious's mom, their family, had like a dried bat stapled above their door.
Tight.
And
hell yeah.
I was just like, you know, just, yeah, that was the real deal. And it was cool. And it was also terrifying to like, just be like, oh, this is real.
So different like than what you were used to, I'm sure.
Yeah, entirely. So I think it all kind of, that's probably a little bit of the origin story for me. Just thinking back to those moments. Yeah.
Identify as like a psychic medium or intuitive person?
No, I do not. Okay. I think that through, you know, a lot of my maybe like intuition. I honed my intuition through a lot of traveling. I did a lot of like hitchhiking, solo hitchhiking when I was in my 20s. Just like constant traveling, hitchhiking, like doing crazy stuff, really impulsive things. And I got a real sense of like people and just how sensitive I am to energies.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of anxiety, a lot of just like, and poor boundaries and all that.
Yeah.
And I learned, you know, how to have better boundaries through going to school for Chinese medicine and then just treating people daily and how important it is. And then I think had to make a decision, or did make a decision, that I didn't want to actually pick up on a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, and
Yeah.
I just decided to kind of like shut it down in a certain way, in that way. Like I didn't want all that information.
Yeah,
Can be
it's a lot
exhausting.
for sure. Especially
It
as
is
like
exhausting,
a sensitive person, and like as an empath, you're just always sponging up all the other energies when you don't know how to protect yourself and protect your energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how did that lead you? Just keep telling me about you. How did that lead you
Let's
into
go back to drugs.
Chinese medicine? And,
the drug
Yes,
portal. What happened there?
That was also like ridiculously early when I think about it. Like 6th or 7th grade, like 13 years old, doing acid.
Yeah.
With my best friend, who's still my best friend to this day. So it's been it's like a 26-year relationship, Claire.
Hey,
And
Claire.
I mean, and yeah, you know, I definitely have to thank Claire for opening me up to a lot of cool shit in my life too. Because I remember walking into class in 6th grade, and I'm wearing this like crop top little sweater that says love on it, and like there's this girl in the corner who's got a Green Day Dookie shirt on and a like collar, like a weird like choker.
So 90s.
And I'm like, who is this amazing person? You know, and she was into all of the fringe stuff. She was like way ahead of her time. And
fun.
Which also meant doing drugs together.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, we just doing acid, and opening up to that world and seeing what's out there, with psychedelics for sure. And that, I think that's the thing that kind of like definitely made me not a Christian anymore. I never really was. But just being like, oh, no.
See behind all the bullshit you've been told.
See behind all the bullshit. Yep. Opening up to that truth.
Nothing's real.
We're all one. Nothing's real.
It's kind of wild, the space of like being young and doing psychedelics, because you're still so open to things and not just like jaded by the world. So you can almost see things from this like super magical space. Mm-hmm. Not encouraging children to do drugs, but I'm just saying it's kind of fucking crazy when you think about it. And
yeah,
I don't feel the same way when I do psychedelics now that I did when I was doing them in like high school or anything like that.
Yeah, same. I don't really want to have those like super journey flying through the universe experiences anymore.
No.
I think I had a lot of them, and I'm feeling pretty good at this point where, you know, what it opened me up to. But I definitely, I mean, that shaped, it also like opened up a lot of my creativity and that side of me too. So it was very important at that time.
Amazing.
And then how'd you get into Chinese medicine?
I think it was always going to be medicine for me. Okay. I was, one of my first jobs was caregiving when I was like 18. I lived in Alaska, and I worked with a lot of adults with disabilities and like fetal alcohol syndrome and things like that. Like really rural area. And yeah, so it was just a lot of like in-home caregiving and things like that, which kind of led me to think that I was going to go into nursing. And then I started doing all the education for nursing, and then I ended up getting like an injury and going and getting acupuncture and just completely flipping and being like, nope, I want to study acupuncture. This is amazing. Because it was such a powerful first visit that I had. Like, it helped my knee
Acupuncture
injury
so
at the time.
amazing.
It's incredible. And I think the first visit, the first visit I was just shocked at how well it worked. But also, I just remember getting, some needles in my head and some needles in my ears, and not just for the knee injury I was coming in for. And then going back to class and sitting there and feeling completely nauseated, like I was going to throw up and dizzy. And that actually was like, whoa, what just happened to me? What did she do? She just put needles in my body and I feel like this? Like, it didn't scare me away. I was like, this is powerful. And I went back and she was like, yeah, that can happen on the first visit. We're just moving a bunch of energy and it's been sitting there for a really long time. So you're feeling it. And I was like, this is awesome. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Where'd you go to school?
And then, I ended up switching over and like deciding 100% I wanted to go to acupuncture school, researching acupuncture schools. I almost went to school in Hawaii and then that didn't work out. And I ended up like last minute making a decision to go to Portland and study in Portland.
Is there a big school there or like community of that?
Yeah, there is. There's OCOM is the school I went to, Oregon College of Oriental Medicine. And then there's also NUNM. And that one is like a dual, or they have a few programs. They have like nutrition, naturopathic, and Chinese medicine. And OCOM, where I went, is just specifically Chinese medicine. And it's 4 years, year-round school. So it was really intense.
Wow.
And it's basically the equivalent of a doctorate. They changed the program right after I graduated to become a doctorate program. They called it a master's. It was a master's at the time, and now it's a doctorate. So, which is more in line with the amount of education and like the rigorous shit you got to go through with that program. It was not easy. I think it's probably like one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. Like all the memorization and dedication and all of that. It was just so hard. And it was, for acupuncture, I did 2 years of massage and I did, also Chinese herbal medicine. So, yeah.
Do all acupuncturists know the herbal medicine part?
No, not all schools offer that.
I didn't think so.
Our school is like one of the big ones that offers like a really in-depth education in Chinese herbal medicine.
That for me was wild. Kind of same for you. I came into you after a car accident. But then you're like, okay, tell me also about like your periods and like all your other, like your skin stuff. And then you're like, all right, just put these herbs on your tongue like every day. And just everything went away. Like my periods were normal for the first time in my whole entire life. And then my eczema like started disappearing and I was like, yo, this lady's a witch. What did she just give me? And then I just was like, I don't know. I've been to tons of fucking doctors for so many different things and nobody was ever able to do that. And that's not even why I was there.
Yeah.
And then like for Curtis, you were like, do you sweat at night? And he was like, yeah. And you're like, okay, take this. And I was like, you need to go back and see Holly. You're like too hot to get away from me. But I'd even been to an acupuncturist before and never knew, I don't know, never had any of that experience or the herbs.
I love the herbs. They're just really hard to work into practice on a daily basis and to get people to take them and to educate people about them. I was doing a lot of herbs when I was seeing you at that clinic. And I was really, really into herbs and I spent all this money and like built a pharmacy up and everything like that. And now I'm only doing herbs here and there. It's a lot. And it makes me sad. I wish I had a little bit more access, or people were coming in more specifically for something like that. But a lot of the time now it's just a lot of pain. I treat a lot of pain.
So if somebody wanted to like consult with you virtually and like receive herbs from you, is that something that you could do or you were interested in?
Yeah, definitely. They have to just be in Oregon. I can't do outside of the state.
Okay.
But
Hell yeah.
yeah,
Awesome.
that is something that can happen for sure.
Are you in a private practice now? Or are you still like a bigger company?
It's a small clinic. It's not a big
Okay.
company. It's just I landed like one of the best jobs I've ever had when I got back.
Oh,
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it was definitely when I first got back. I took a job with a company that was actually pretty big, and that didn't work out. It was like I think I lasted like 2 or 3 months or something like that. That crashed and burned. But that then led me to take a chance and jump into something else with this small little clinic, and they've been amazing. It's just been so good. I never really like I've always felt weird about being like the people I work with are like family, because you know that can be like really weird, but it's just so comfortable, and I love my bosses. Like, we're friends, we're on the same page, I'm treated with so much respect. Like, yeah, it really worked out. It's amazing.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. Good for you.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you want to add to your story before we jump into like some questions?
Yeah, I mean, there's just like so much that I've done in my life. Car alarm going off.
What is that?
We're all real people in the real world, so
Yeah.
I'm really like, the podcast world just has to deal with it sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot to add. I don't quite know what to say as far as that, because I've just like done so much stuff in my life that's like led me to this, you know, just like a ton of travel and getting to know people, and honing my intuition through lots of experience, to just be able to like work with people on a real level now. But yeah, I don't know.
Well, where's your favorite place that you've traveled? Or like top
probably
3?
Yeah, did a lot of travel through Central America.
Amazing.
I think probably one of the biggest ones was so right before I went to acupuncture school, I went to China because I wanted to like experience
I was wondering that.
Chinese medicine, and I did. I got acupuncture there. It was amazing. I like worked with a woman for a little while. And I traveled around China with a friend, and I traveled around China by myself. And I ended up going into Mongolia too, and going around there and kind of experiencing like all of those cultures, and also with the intention of experiencing like the medicine in those areas and seeing how people practice medicine in those areas. China was cool because it's very integrated. They have these like really well developed hospital systems that's, you know, like modern medicine and all that. And at the same time, they have these huge herbal medicinaries and pharmacies inside the hospital, and they're also prescribing just like massive amounts of herbal medicine. And so it's very integrated. I was super impressed by that.
I wish that existed here. That's what I want.
Maybe one day we'll get there.
Please.
Fingers crossed.
The forces that be kind of want to keep that not happening, but got to keep fighting for that. But yeah, I went to China as a trip because it's really smoggy, like everywhere you go, no matter where you go. Like, I took trains east to west, and it was just a kind of either like a dense or a light smog anywhere. You're in the country or in the city, it's all kind of the same, worse in the cities. And then I went and traveled up into the Tibetan plateau, and once I got high enough in Kanding, which is like the western part of China, like towards Tibet, but you can't really get into Tibet because you have to do this whole visa process, and it's really complicated and stuff. But kind of like outside, it kind of alternates. It's Tibetan culture. It is Tibet. The air was finally clean, and it was super magical, and it was really beautiful. And I traveled a bunch around there, and I did some hitchhiking, and I ended up in like these really small villages, and one family that I met while I was just kind of like walking through this valley. It was just like this really beautiful valley. And there was like a bunch of yurts everywhere. And this family I met, we were just like miming to each other, couldn't speak the languages of each other. And they were like miming, they had these pickaxes and they were like miming to go up into these hills. They're like, do you want to come? And I was like, yeah.
Wow.
And so we do this like really big hike up into this hill. And they're on their hands and knees and they're like picking at the ground and digging out these things. And they're like trying to show me that's what we're looking for. And I'm like, I have no idea what this is. And I just pretend to keep looking. And I'm like, I'm never going to find what we're looking for. I don't know what this is. And they're like these tiny little things. And they end up getting like a bunch of them and put it in their basket. And then we hike down and like I kind of say goodbye and thank them. And I go back into the town, into the village. And there's like all of these people cleaning whatever it was we just looked for with these tiny little wire brushes. And everybody's just like sitting on stoops and cleaning these things. And then I end up going into some, like I leave that place, I end up going into like this little weird little store in the middle of nowhere. And there's like a group of men and they all like pull out little like cartridges, little packages of the stuff that I just also looked for in the hills. And they're like trading it like drugs or something.
Whoa.
Where it just seemed really like expensive, and everyone was kind of like showing theirs off as if it was like the best and they had the better quality. And I come to find out that it's cordyceps, and that cordyceps grows in the Tibetan plateaus, and it's an herb. It's like a fungus.
I was gonna say, isn't it like a mushroom?
Yeah, it's kind of like a mushroom. It's a fungus that like takes over a living organism, like a moth, or I'm not entirely sure. And then it kind of just like kills that organism and then hardens and like becomes like the exoskeleton. Then from that grows a little like plant, and highly
like
medicinal. It's mostly synthetic now because it's been like over harvested. And when I was traveling through those areas, like all the Tibetan villages, like no one was in the villages. They were all out in the hills because at the time it was super, the price for it was so high and everybody was making a lot of money on it.
Wow.
It's really changed since then. That was like 2013, 2014. But then I would go to acupuncture school and I learned about cordyceps and I was like, oh my God, I was there. I saw it. Like,
what an incredible experience, and just like totally, just kind of like a leaf in the wind and going wherever the universe is guiding you, and how it all just has a full circle coming back where you're like, oh, amazing. Now I understand the value and why everyone was so, into finding and cleaning. And
I also can't imagine hitchhiking in a country that you don't even know the language and just like, all right, well, go wherever.
It was pretty safe, I can say that. A lot of Buddhist culture, and I didn't really feel ever like I was in danger. So that was also just very nice.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Did any of this like traveling change you spiritually, or like open you up to new ideas or things that you've kind of adapted and taken on in your own spiritual life?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the traveling I did is everything. The people I met, just seeing so many different ways of living and perspectives and cultures, and all of the like hardships I had to endure while traveling too, like definitely toughened me up. And I mean, it's everything. I take all of that experience and then that's what I bring into my treatments. I think just the ability to like connect with people, because it's a different person almost like every half an hour, right? I see 2 people an hour, and some days I'm seeing up to 12 or 13 people. Damn. And each person is so different, and there's a lot of psychology in that too, you know. Each person is bringing like an entirely different story to you, and it's not just like fix my shoulder. It's like I have shoulder pain, I have trauma, I have whatever else is going on in their life, and to just be able to like take that in and like empathize and kind of see where to go with the treatment in that moment. I think that like my traveling has shaped me and allowed me to be able to do all of that. Just
That's
like get
magical.
outside of myself.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
I love your story. I just want to talk to you forever and ever. And if I'm up in Portland sometime, I hope we could just like hang out and grab a drink or something.
I would love that.
Yeah, me too. You're just a badass. I remember there was one time I was in there and I don't remember what we were talking about. And you're like, oh, yeah, well, I was a gutter punk kid. And like, yeah, and I was like, I just looked at you and I said, of course you were. Like, duh. That just makes so much sense to me. And I think about that almost every time I think of you. I'm like, yeah, of course.
I do remember that. Yep.
Well, I'm glad you remembered me. I didn't know you see so many people a day, too. That's kind of crazy.
It is crazy. Yeah, totally. I mean, there's also patience, you know. I get where I'm like, oh my God, yes, I get to see this person.
Aww.
And it just makes the day go by a lot faster, and it's nice.
Absolutely. I like stopped coming in. I think I was just so fed up with like, because I was seeing you once or twice a week. I was doing massage 3 times a week. I had chiropractor 3 times a week. And I was just like also depressed because it was COVID and I was in so much pain and I just couldn't get myself to go to any of my appointments anymore. Because it was every day before work and I was just like, I couldn't do it. And then I went back to look for you and I was like, oh, fuck, she's gone. I was like, damn. Yeah. And then I don't know how I figured. I guess maybe I just kept Googling you and found out that you were in Portland because I thought maybe you went to a different place down here. And then I was like, oh, all right. Yeah, I'm glad I found you now. I don't know what the point of that.
Sharing your love for her.
So let's kind of jump into like what you do. If you're
the basics for those who've never heard of acupuncture before.
Yeah,
what is it and why would people want to go get acupuncture?
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people are hesitant. I mean, it's a hard sell to tell people like you put needles in their body and they get better. And I mean, some people, they're like, that sounds really cool. I think a lot of people are hesitant and they're scared of it.
I hate needles, and acupuncture is my favorite healing thing I've ever done. It is so life-changing.
And they don't hurt, right? I mean, some of them maybe like, you know, not the most comfortable.
Sometimes you get like a weird little nerve, but then it's like, then you just relax and take a really good nap.
Yeah. Yeah. The needles are really tiny, and you know, depending on the style, it can be, and usually it's like the most relaxing experience, and you get to lay there for 20-30 minutes on a like warm table and relax. I personally, you know, there's acupuncture, Chinese medicine is meridian theory based, and so it's like a network of connections throughout your body, which explains like why you can put a needle in someone's ankle and treat their neck. It's connected through these channels. And there's just a lot of theory to get into and with that. But then there's also what, you know, chiropractors and physical therapists and MDs are trying to co-opt and say they do, which is called dry needling. And some people are familiar with that term, some aren't. It's essentially just also acupuncture, but they're trying to like market it as something different. And it's more pain-based. It's more musculoskeletal, going into like trigger points in the muscles and releasing muscles and getting them to jump and activating them and all these things, which is like highly effective for pain. But in Chinese medicine, there's a name for that. It's an Asher point. And it's essentially where you're palpating and it hurts, so you put a needle there. You're moving energy, you're moving chi. It's stuck, and that's why there's pain. And so it's just getting it to move and creating more circulation and blood flow to that area and opening up that channel or that muscle or whatever you want to call it. It's all acupuncture. It's all Chinese medicine. So I do both. I'll do like an intake with someone. They come in, and it's all about finding like the root of what's happening with their main complaint, like the root of what they're coming in for. And then that can be as simple as like having a desk job and poor posture and tight muscles. So like getting those muscles to relax, working on posture and fixing it, and then, kind of moving on. It can be as complicated as like an emotional root that goes very deep, and stress and trauma and all these things. And
so you can alleviate stress and trauma with acupuncture?
Yeah, there's a really great book, The Body Keeps the Score, which talks
that book
a lot about like trauma and the somatic, how that affects the body, like the somatic psychology of how it's all stored in our bodies in different ways. And so, digestive problems and heart problems, heart palpitations, and chronic neck issues and migraines and all these things can have that origin of trauma and stress from a young age, or a traumatic event or something that happened and then it manifests in the body and it comes out later. And acupuncture puts you in to this like parasympathetic state, so you're not in fight or flight anymore, which is like where a lot of us function from in this modern society, right? We're just always like stressed. We're like driving. There's a lot of exposure to electricity and lights and media, and it's a lot of sympathetic. And then acupuncture has the ability to bring you down back into that safe place in your body and feel comfort there and go into rest and digest and move through a lot of those things that are stored. It also, the needles themselves will move the energy and move things, and bring you back into balance. It's not about releasing anything, or like releasing energy. It's harmonizing your body again. It's bringing things back into harmony.
Love that.
So,
do you have like somebody that you've worked with where you've seen, like, what's your favorite client testimonial or something that you've worked with where you're just like, they came in this way and over this time they completely changed?
There's been quite a few. I have to think about that one for sure.
Because you can use acupuncture for literally anything in your body, in your energy. And I'm sure lots of people seek out acupuncture for various reasons. Like, how can you help someone with fertility or depression, or, like these kind of things that aren't necessarily pain related, like a physical level. Because I feel like a lot of people may search out acupuncture for that. Like Taylar was saying, she came in, she had a car accident, but then she left with her eczema clearing, this whole other thing that happened along the way. Like anything that just kind of sticks out in your mind where you're like, that was cool.
Yeah. Gotta think about that one. Skin stuff, I will say, is really interesting to me, and I'm not a specialist at all. I've always been fascinated by it. I think like migraines are a big one. People that suffer from chronic migraines, that can be so debilitating, and acupuncture is really effective for headaches and migraines. I think for me, it's been because it's it usually responds. People respond well to treatment with headaches and migraines.
Definitely.
That it's just always very satisfying to alleviate that from someone's life. Not entirely. It's not like it's not a silver bullet. It's not silver bullet medicine. There's a lot of factors. Like, I'm just a facilitator. I'm just like someone sees maybe once a week. And then they go out and they do all these other things in their life, right? So it's definitely like I'm part of the toolkit, and it's people just kind of being able to get a little bit of assistance and then also make the changes they need to make in their life to be healthier and be out of pain and all of those things. But I'd say that like just helping people with their migraines, with their headaches has been huge, because that one can respond really well, and it can really give someone the quality of life back.
Definitely.
In
migraines
a big way.
are so intense.
So Amber kind of asked, like, what does a consultation in acupuncture or Chinese medicine look like? You asked to look at my tongue. I was like, why?
So there's like pulse and tongue diagnosis are big. Someone will come in and we'll start talking, and the intake form and my questions are pretty thorough. So I ask a lot about like it's a whole review of systems. It's the ears, eyes, nose, throat, and then digestive system and endocrine system, menstrual cycles, all of those questions. Sometimes it's just like we get really detailed sometimes about poop. I want to know, like, is it sticky? Is it loose? Is it hard? And people are like, why do you want to know so much about my shit? That's all.
It's
super
important.
Useful information. It's very important. And then looking at the tongue, for like the moisture of the tongue, whether it's dry or too wet, if there's like cracks throughout the tongue, if it's like red, if it's pale, if it's dusky, which is like kind of a purplish hue. There's all these different things on the
dusky.
Oh, I was like a little dusty tongue. Ratchet.
How thick the coat is. All of that's like really good information for what's happening inside of the body and like the internal process. So, which points to someone's pattern, because it's all pattern based medicine, and each person presents with a pattern, whether or not, can have 5 people coming in for the same thing, like the same complaint, like a migraine, and they're all presenting very differently based off of like what they're telling me with the review of systems and what their tongue looks like. And then that leads me to the root of the migraine and how to treat it, if that makes sense.
Whoa. Wild. What does the pulse tell you?
The pulse there's a bunch of different positions. Like I'm looking for depth, whether it's on the surface, if it's strong, if it's deep and weak, whether it's fast or slow. And all of that kind of just plays into like all of the information I've already gathered through my intake and my questions. Looking at the tongue and then feeling the pulse is just another part of the pattern. So someone comes in with, a really like puffy, wet tongue, and there's a big, like a thick coat on the tongue, like a very thick white coat. And I feel their pulse, and their pulse is kind of like what we call like soggy. Like it's like putting your fingers through like soggy cotton balls. And that's like a damp pattern. This person's presenting with a lot of dampness in their body. So you have to like clear the dampness and the phlegm out. And there's, it's obstructing things to be able to work properly.
I'm totally like touching my tongue with my tongue inside my mouth right now, like, trying to feel like, is it Cody? Is it wet?
And I've just been sticking my tongue out of the camera for the last couple minutes.
You can like change your tongue pretty fast too. Like if you go and eat some fried chicken and have a bunch of beer, then you're going to get like a thick coat on your tongue. It happens pretty fast too. Some of the stuff that's slower to happen is like cracks developing on the tongue.
What does that
certain
mean?
Things like that.
Usually.
That can, like, it's a body fluid deficiency or like a body fluid issue. Like maybe it's what we call blood deficiency, or like you're a little dried out, right? Like you don't have enough like moisture in your body, and that can take time to develop those cracks. Like you're not going to develop cracks overnight. But
my mom's tongue is so cracked out.
She drinks water.
Yeah,
it can also be genetic. There's like a couple. There's a couple tongues that are like fissured, like these deep cracks.
What I got
to me. A famous one is Miley Cyrus when she was like peak whatever that was she was doing, like she was like sticking her and there was a lot of tongue diagnosis going on when that was happening. Like I saw a lot of memes with her tongue circulating and we were diagnosing
her. I love that.
What was the diagnosis?
Drugs. There was a lot of drugs going on.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What else do I have written down?
So, okay, so we've done the intake and then we had our first session with you and then like I come back in a week. What does that look like? Or over time, like how does that change? Do you go back into more detail?
And is acupuncture like an always thing, or do you like come in for a little while and then you're good and then you don't have to come in again?
It kind of depends. I personally use acupuncture, for myself, like once a month, kind of, it's like a tune-up. If you're an anxious person, you have a tendency towards anxiety and depression, I think it's honestly just a good thing to do because it helps manage those things. And so coming in like once a month for kind of like maintenance care is always a good idea. For pain, sometimes you can just knock something out, like shoulder pain or neck pain, and then people don't need to come back. Or maybe it starts to creep back in a few months later and they know where to go now. They come back in and they kind of take care of it. There's more like long-term treatments, like rheumatoid arthritis is like an autoimmune disorder, and it can be really painful. And so I've been seeing someone for a very long time, off and on. They just come in when they need to when things flare up. And so it can be usually in the beginning with everyone. Regardless, I tell them about 4 or 5 visits at once a week to help get to a good place where we feel like things are calmed down and managed. And then at that point, I kind of make the decision, okay, this might be like a 10 treatment thing. If they're willing to come in for, a handful of other visits, or maybe we've like gotten to a good place and they can start coming in every 2 or 3 weeks, and then we start spacing it out. But in the beginning, a treatment plan is essential. So it's really like the frequency that makes it effective and allows things to sustain over time. Coming in less frequently is just not going to be as effective. So in the beginning, it's really important to come in once a week. And in China, it's very frequent. We just don't have the healthcare system. Like people don't have the money here to be able to do that. But like ideally 2 or 3 times a week to take care of the issue. But
and that's the other thing I wanted to ask was like, how much on average do you think someone would expect to pay for this kind of service? And
it's like health insurance?
Can insurance cover it? And are there options for people who maybe are on a lower income or have like big families but really need this service? Are there options for them as well?
Yeah, I mean, here in Portland, we have working class acupuncture, which is pay whatever you want, pay what you can. And it's community based. So it's not a private room. You're in a room with
I've heard of
other people. It's community acupuncture. There's chairs set up and you can just go in and you can relax. I really appreciate that model.
Yeah, I did that in Denver.
I think there's one in Ashland as well.
Oh, okay. Ashland. I think Ashland has that too. I know in Southern Oregon, JCC, Jackson Care Connect, is Medicaid. And that plan was amazing. Like you got 10 visits of acupuncture a year, 10 visits of chiropractic, and I think massage was included in that too. So it was like really accessible healthcare for people that are on Medicaid. In Portland, because that's so specific to Southern Oregon, in Portland, like it's really hard to find practitioners that will take Medicaid here, like OHP, Oregon Health Plan. It just doesn't pay well at all. So it's really hard to find practitioners that will take that insurance. But there's a lot of there's so many clinics in Portland. And some are like higher end and cost more. And then there's, you can find treatments for $50, $60, which is still pricey. It's still hard.
Yeah.
And there's also like some sliding scale clinics and things like that. But I think for people that really have a hard time financially, I think maybe like community acupuncture and working class acupuncture and things like that are the best option.
Awesome. Yeah, that was my experience with acupuncture when I lived in Denver. I went to a community acupuncture spot there, and I was really impressed actually with how wonderful it was. And even through COVID going there, when I first started, it was before COVID, and there were lots of different tables, and I didn't ever feel like exposed, which was nice. Like I was able to still have my own healing experience, even though there was someone like 2 tables down from me having their own too. Totally comfortable passing out, waking up snoring. But it helped me so much. Like my personal experience and why I started going, I have lower back issues. And I had thrown my back out the worst that I've ever thrown it out. It was not healing. It was like a month and a half had gone by, and I was still in so much pain. And then a friend had told me, like, you really should go try acupuncture. And I was shying away because I was seeing like $120 for a thing. I was like, I don't think I can afford that for the help that I'm going to need. And someone had recommended the community acupuncture spot. I think at the time it was like $30 a visit. I think they did end up raising the prices, so maybe like $45 now, but still way more manageable. And I had gone in my first visit, like I couldn't even lift my legs into my car, and I'd have to sit there for almost 5 minutes to like allow my body to soften so that I could drive. At the time too, I drove a stick shift. So it's like a lot of movement just to get to an appointment. And I went in, and she, did all the work on me, and I walked out, and right away from that visit, I was able to lift my legs into my car. Like I was still in so much pain, and I wasn't 100%, but the fact that I saw that huge of a difference in one session immediately, I was like, okay, I'm totally sold. This is my go-to thing now. I want to do it for everything. And within, I think I did 2 weeks, 3 times a week. At first I was 100% back to my normal self after that. And it was crazy. Phenomenal. I was like, I love this place. I want everyone to go get acupuncture. It is so, so healing. And she also did like, herbs and stuff there too, which I really loved as well. So my husband, I've tried to get him to go because he has a lot of pain issues, and I made him go one time, and he just like can't stay still. He can't like get to the relaxation point. And, if you're laying there and depending on where the needle is after a little bit, if you're moving, it may hit like a nerve, and then you feel the jolt through your whole body. Like, what would you recommend for people who just like can't get comfortable with the needles in their body?
Yeah. I like to check in with people and see how long they really want to be on the table. There is kind of a like classical time, like in the classical text, like the chi circulates in your body 28 minutes and 32 seconds. I don't know. It's like very specific, but like a whole chi cycle. But it can still be really effective with shorter treatments. So if somebody's super antsy, they really can't relax. Well, first of all, I'll try to just throw in every single relaxation point that I can and try to knock them out and get them down.
Little sedation with the needles.
Yeah. But some people are more antsy, and it can be hard. Try to do a little bit shorter of a treatment if they feel like it's not therapeutic anymore. Like they're laying there and they're really uncomfortable and they can't stand it. Like I just don't see how that's therapeutic. So trying to work with someone. And some people want really long treatments. They want to be on the table for a super long time. A lot of the time I find that moms want that. They want left on the table for like 30, 40 minutes. in darkness and not be bothered. So everyone's a little different. Yeah.
I'm all for it. At the community spot I went to, it was an hour that you lay there.
Wow.
Unless you specified otherwise. So I always got a really good nap. I fell asleep every single time and felt the most rested I've ever felt in my whole life.
Wow, that's amazing. I don't even think I could last an hour personally. Like,
no, I loved it. I'd like go into another dimension. It was always this incredibly spiritual experience for me.
Is there somebody here that you recommend?
Yeah.
I know this has got me all jazzed up.
Kristen is the other acupuncturist at Southern Oregon Chiropractic. She's in Medford.
Royal Ave.
Yep. Kristen Piacitelli.
I go there.
And then
does she do herbs also, do you know?
Not as much. I know she does a little bit, but not as much.
That would be something I'd really love to have someone telling me what to do.
There's
get them from home.
Yeah, that's right. I could just do online with you.
An online consult, yeah. There's also Simon Sharkey, and he's in Ashland, I think. I think he has a clinic, or he works at a clinic in Ashland and works part-time at a clinic in Medford. And I graduated with him. He's a lovely human being. I really, really appreciate him. And I would suggest him too.
Cool.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you think people need to know about acupuncture? I feel like a lot of people that listen to this have never had it done before.
Yeah, I think a big thing about the Chinese herbs is that it's pattern based. So, 5 people can come in with migraines, but they all have different patterns. And so it's not like Western herbal medicine, or, pharmaceuticals, in that this one thing helps migraines. This one pill, this one herb is good for migraines. I don't know a ton about Western herbal medicine, so I can't speak to that specifically, but Chinese herbal medicine is just very, very different in that it's pattern based, and the same complaint can get, an entirely different formula for each person. And so the herbs are formulaic. They're usually, it can be anywhere from sometimes, very rarely, it's a single herb, but a lot of the times it's multiple herbs working in conjunction, synergistically together, that makes it work. So in Chinese herbal medicine, you have this theory of the main herb that then they're directional. There's a thermal nature to each herb. So some herbs are cooling, some herbs are warming. They're directional. They can move up into the upper parts of the body. Some herbs drain downwards in the lower parts of the body. So if you're working with headaches, or you're working with a sore throat, or you're working with something that's a lung or heart issue, then you're going to prescribe herbs that go to those areas of the body. If you're working with gynecological issues, anything reproductive, you're going to work with herbs that go to the lower portions of the body. And if someone has a sore throat, or I don't know, maybe that's not a good example. Someone has digestive issues that are based on a cold pattern, they have a lot of cold in the body, cold and dampness. You're going to use herbs that warm and disperse what we call disperse dampness and drain dampness out of the body. And then sometimes people have issues that are a heat related pattern, sweating a lot at night, and they're always really hot and their tongue is red. Then you're going to use cooling herbs to cool them down and get rid of some of that heat, that excess heat in the body. So Chinese herbal medicine is really complicated. It's a bunch of different herbs working together. You have to know the single herbs and what they do and all of their natures. And then you also have to know the entire formula and all the different herbs in it and how they play together and how they work together.
Yeah, it sounds beautiful and complicated and lovely. I know for
so fascinating.
Curtis, you helped I don't know if you say cure, but like he had chronic like heartburn, what's it called in your
Oh yeah, the acid reflux.
acid reflux. He had like chronic acid reflux, and he just still, that was like almost 2 years ago, he still doesn't have it anymore.
Wow.
Amazing.
Yeah. So, little testimonial there for you.
That's really awesome to hear.
I saw on your Instagram that you were like reading tea leaves. What is that for people that don't know what that is?
I was kind of reading tea leaves every now and then. I was just kind of like doing that for myself, but I have read some tea leaves.
What does it mean though?
Oh, tea leaf reading's like an old witchy thing from, I mean, I'm sure my knowledge of it only is so far as like it's a Victorian era thing where people would get around and they'd drink tea, and then at the very bottom of your cup with the leaves would settle, and you'd read them as like, you know, like tarot or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Such a cool form of divination. I'm so fascinated in it and would love to learn, but it seems very like an intuition based form of divination, would you say?
Yeah. There was a cute book that I got from, I think it was like from the 1900s, about all the different shapes the leaves can make and how to read them and stuff like that.
So fun.
So I think it's, yeah.
I love it.
Look that up.
Do you have any other witchy practices or spiritual practices that you do for yourself or for others?
I'd say the biggest thing, I mean, I just try to stay mostly with like a meditation practice, which isn't that great off and on. I have phases of that. Through my Chinese medicine program, Qigong was a requirement. And so I did like 3 years of Qigong. And
what's that?
Qigong's a like energy, it's kind of like Tai Chi and Qigong. It's a lineage based movement, breath work, energy practice. So there's a lot of different forms, and the teacher that I learned from in school, there was a lot of like really specific forms you move through, and just manipulating energy, like learning how to like tap into your energy, feel energy. We did a lot of like energy balls and like warming our bodies with breath work, and you know, it was really powerful for me to have to do that for like 3 years. Like you go in,
yeah, that's amazing.
You're a bit haggard from studying and school, and you're just tired, and you don't want to sit there and do all of this energy work. But it was so huge in developing like my energy practice as a acupuncturist.
Yeah.
So I do have a little bit of a Qigong practice these days that I try to keep up with. Mostly it's just like breath work and things like that. The biggest thing for me is one of the biggest things moving back to Portland after moving from Medford. And I was just like sad and trying to figure out what I wanted to do and who I was after like a 6-year relationship and all these things, was to like get in touch with my creativity and my creative side again and play music again. Because I had not, for a couple years, I had just like kind of stopped playing guitar and singing. And that's been huge since moving back here. And I think that that's my spirituality right now, is the creative community. And I've made a lot of, I've put a lot of intention in this year, and getting back to like a creative community of musicians and whatever, you know, performers, and nurturing that. And that's like, it's been coming together, and it's been really easy actually. And it's felt really good. It's felt like it's definitely what I needed to do.
Oh, I love that. I'm so happy for you that you've reconnected with that.
Yeah, me too.
It's very really important for you.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of one of our questions that we ask every guest is like, what's your self-care? What's something you do for yourself? And then we always ask if you could tell your younger self one thing now, what do you think that would be?
Oh my goodness, my younger self.
Gotcha.
That's so like, it's cute because I grabbed my like journal from elementary school off the shelf and just like had it next to me for this because I was kind of just I thought it was really adorable. And
I love that.
I started reading it and it cracked me up like right before I got on here with you guys. I was like, this is so funny. Each entry is like, hey journal, how you doing today?
Oh, so cute. I'm like tearing up. I love that.
It's just, and so it's like, I had a good day today. I hope you're having a good day too. I totally talked to my journal like it was this entity.
So cute.
And then it just keeps going as I get older. I think I maybe stopped writing it in like 8th grade. And it just gets a little bit more hormonal.
Angsty.
And angsty. And yeah, just I think thinking about that little kid and you know, who I was while I was traveling, there's just so much anxiety. Just like believing in myself more, that I could take up space, that I like what I said was valid and had meaning, and that I didn't need to worry so much about like making myself small and trying to people please.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I am an empath. I just sometimes that word gets overused, so I like
Definitely
don't want to say it too much. But you know, as an empath, as a feeler, as somebody who feels things really strongly, there's a lot of like trying to make things feel good all the time. And so just less of that and just more authenticity, being more authentic and trusting and like believing in myself and not trying to like gloss over things and just make it good for the sake of things maybe needing to feel good in that way, superficially, I guess.
Wow, so
Hell
relatable.
yeah.
So
I think everybody needs to remember that and be told that, even if it's to your past self from like yesterday.
Right.
yeah, I feel like in 10 years from now, you're going to be saying that even more to today.
I know.
Today you.
It's always, yeah. I just, there's so much, like anxiety and, also the biggest thing is maybe like men aren't that great. Like you don't have to put so much emphasis on them all the time. Like you don't.
Not that big a deal.
Girl. Oh, I totally relate.
Word. Where can people find you, Holly? If they want to connect with you, if they wanted to do a consult with you, and where can they find you?
Probably Instagram. Like I don't have a dedicated Chinese medicine website or social media.
Do they just DM you?
Anything like that. But people can DM me on Instagram at Hobalo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. At the end of each recording, we do a card pull for the collective. Would you like to join us on this card pull?
I'd love that.
We picked the Goddess Guidance deck, which I was
Adoring Virtue.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and then she said it anyway, so I feel like
I love when we're in sync and connected.
All right, so I'm just gonna shuffle these really quick. Whoa, and I think that card wants to be the card. And I'll let you read it.
This is a beautiful card. This is Mawu. She represents Mother Earth. And her message says, you are called upon to help with environmentalism. So I'm just going to go to her little page in the book. Mawu is how you pronounce it. Okay. About Mawu, she's a West African moon goddess who's believed to have created all life with her husband, the sun god, Liza. Mawu helps those who call upon her to learn how to live in harmony with nature and to respect its resources. She ensures that our needs are abundantly supplied without causing harm to the planet. Thanks, Mawu. Her message is, there's no greater cause today than giving back to your mother and rekindling a friendship with the soil, air, and water. The earth is the life force for material life, and there's no sense in continuing a downward spiral of dirtying the planet with further pollution. Your contribution is necessary no matter how small. You make a huge difference in this planet's welfare through small and simple changes in how you can operate. It's worth it, believe me, and I will help you accomplish this goal in all ways.
Beautiful.
Various meanings of this card. Your life's purpose involves environmentalism. Use earth-friendly products. Recycle. Get involved with an environmental group. Teach others about environmentalism.
Beautiful.
That's a great reminder for all of us, and especially like talking about herbs and just kind of creating harmony in your life and finding the balance and connecting with the earth. Like there's so much medicine in the earth for us, and we need to give back because we take so much, all of us, everybody.
Yeah, and acupuncture is a very sustainable medicine, environmentally friendly medicine. Yes.
So perfect. Thanks, Mawu. And thank you, Holly, so much.
Yes, thank you.
So incredible. We're so grateful to connect with you and share this time. And thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to spend with us.
Yeah, of course. This was super cute and sweet and like really appreciative. It's been fun. It's been really fun.
Good.
Thank you.
Yay.
All right, Holly. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you, witches, for listening. Don't forget to give us a follow on all the social media platforms at Waking Up the Witch.
Email us everything, all of it, at wakingupthewitch@gmail.com.
And don't forget to do something nice for yourself.
Take your dog on a walk.
Drink some water.
Call your mom.
Brush your teeth.